album. I'd like to welcome Aaron.
Hi.
Hi, Scott.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
And Eric.
Thank you.
The Malones. Welcome to Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. You guys have a new album out.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Just came out. Does it feel good to get that finally released?
Yeah.
For as long as we've been talking about it, and then how long it took to actually do everything, it's nice that we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, it feels great.
Yeah, we've technically been working on this band for almost 3 years, and then finally in the past 9 months actually got serious about doing something. So,
who did most of the writing for the album? Did one of you guys do a lion's share, or was it a...
I think I did a little bit more than Eric did. I think I got maybe 2 more songs than he does.
Pretty much.
But I got a bunch of really short songs too.
Pretty much, if we're singing on a song, that's the one that we wrote. Except I did sing Scott's one song he wrote for the album.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like it's a band where you guys are all contributing ideas.
Yes.
And
Yeah, we're good with whatever.
Yeah, we pretty much just bring an idea to practice and, let Scott's the drummer, so he figures out what he wants to do. And, pretty much any leads I leave to Aaron and just let him know, hey, this is what I want, do something here.
That's usually a detriment because I'm not that good of a guitar player.
So modest, Aaron. So you guys have been playing together for a while. You guys were in a band called IDFK prior to this, and you guys were together for quite a while. Did that make it easier as far as working on the Malones, or did you guys feel pressure to kind of stay in the same line as IDFK?
I don't think so. I think, we want to differentiate this as much as possible from IDFK. But there was no awkward getting to know each other, our styles, how we play moments though either. We would been jamming for years together.
It was convenient because it was everyone that was left. Obviously everyone knows what happened with Opie, and Josh moved away, and it was us, and I just switched to bass.
And it's still fun, It's still a good time.
How was the move to bass?
I played bass in a previous band, and it's fun because I'm just a guitar player that plays bass, so it's less to worry about, and I've got my own issues with my circulation in my hands and that. With you got a question coming in?
Yeah, they hung up though.
But yeah, I've got Raynaud's, which flares up really bad during the winter, and it's very bad with the circulation of my fingers, so I've constantly got open sores. So switching, I know everyone loves hearing about that, but switching to bass is actually a godsend over playing guitar because it makes it a lot easier to play because it doesn't sting like the thinner strings on guitar do. And
Aaron, have you ever thought about playing bass?
No. I've owned one for 8 years, and I bet I've played it 5 times.
You tried selling it to me. It's like, you play bass now, have it.
So, Eric and Scott, you guys are in a band together back before IDFK.
Several, yeah.
What were some of those bands?
First one was Burnout. The ones that had longevity were Burnout. That was a couple of years. It was 2 years. Year and a half.
Yeah, the Gas Rats.
Gas Rats. That was about close to 10.
Yeah, about 6 active, and then some on and off. And then we had Jabberjaw, which was our coming back in, which started getting going, and then IDFK stole Scott. So then that kind of died out.
And then, Eric, you joined IDFK towards the end.
Yes, and when whatever happened with that, Aaron was leaving.
I left the band, and Eric took my space. But that's as simple as it gets.
Did you guys still practice at Aaron's house during that time?
No.
They could have just asked.
We practiced at Opie's and then in our parents' basement.
Nice.
There was never any bad blood. It's just the way it turned out,
Yeah. And then the Malones, where did that name come from?
So we were at a practice after it was the first show we ever did without Opie was about 3 or 4 years ago, and we actually went under the alias STFU instead of IDFK, and that was at Reptile Palace. And after that show, we're like, well, things with Opie are always going to be rough, and we just wanted to get something separate that was just ours. And we started jamming with Josh, who was originally in the band from IDFK. And it was our first practice, and we're sitting down in the basement afterwards playing NBA Jam. And We got a video. It's very popular online, and Aaron does not take losing video games very well. And
This Aaron?
yeah, right.
My normal calm demeanor goes away if I'm losing an NBA Jam to Scott or Eric. I think I was actually.
Are we?
losing.
What's how?
Can I play a soundbite?
Well, it depends on is language allowed on the show or
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Well, here's Aaron losing at NBA Jam.
I was up by 10 twice. Karma.
And that was it.
That was pretty much the birth of the name of the Malones, and the inside of our CD. I'm sure we have a copy that we are leaving with you today.
Probably in the van.
The inside album work we actually modeled off like the stats and pictures from the
Cool.
NBA Jam video game, which Trista did a really nice job with making our pictures look pixelated and
Yes,
shitty.
she did.
What's the biggest difference between the Malones and IDFKs from a live perspective when you guys are playing? I mean, does it feel the same? Does it feel like it did when you guys were?
I'm singing more, so that makes it weird.
Does it make it harder or?
No, I was doing it in scissor kick, so it's just I almost feel very similar to that with here. It's a lot of I sing the songs I write. I just play guitar. And
When you're writing those songs, does that make it a little different as far as your writing process goes? With maybe you want to write something a little more simple so that you can play and sing it at the same time, or is that changing how you're writing your songs?
not really. I've always just sort of had this more simplistic style because as I always sing the songs as I'm writing them and everything too, so I think I go with that. I'm never thinking that somebody else is going to sing these songs, even though it's what ended up happening with IDFK.
Was that weird to hear somebody else singing the songs that you wrote?
A little bit at first, but Opie had a much better voice than me, so I got over it pretty quick.
I don't know if I speak for Aaron in this because he was obviously with IDFK since the beginning, but this feels like mine. Because I came into IDFK, I did get one song written on the one release that I was on, but it was never, mine. I came in, anyone that worked with Opie knows you did what he wanted, and I love the guy to death, and I love being in that band, but it never felt like mine, and I'm just really happy that once again, after years of not having that, to have something that is 100%, mine. Even the songs that Aaron wrote, I had full range of putting my own flavor into, and hope that didn't come off gross. But and even he writes songs, but he does give full. We give each other opinions on how songs go. Because there's even one on the album. It's funny now that was supposed to be slower originally, and Scott and I were like, "Hey, we should try speeding this up," and then we did it. And then, we record and everything. I'm like, hey, how do you like how it turned out? He's like, I really don't like it, but I make a lot of sacrifices.
How do you feel about when you're presenting a song to Eric and he puts a bass line down on it?
I don't mind. I don't tell the other guys what to play.
Good.
Besides the root notes and the chords and whatever. That's all I tell them. I'm like, if you want to put something there, be my guest. I trust your instincts as a musician to do something good there.
So there's not a lot of strife when you're writing songs.
No.
Scotty, you're not ever interjecting some opinions for Eric and Aaron?
Not much.
We really just let each other do their thing, we trust each other as musicians enough to do what needs to be done, and if we have a specific idea, we'll bring it up like, hey, I was really kind of thinking of this year, like with Scott, like there's a newer song that we were working on that I'm like, hey, do this, and him and I have been working with each other so long that I can tell him do this, and then he'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
We can have conversations without even opening our mouths. You just play it out. It's a musician thing. You just kind of read
older?
each other.
Everyone asks that, don't they?
Guess.
I'm gonna say Eric. So.
Scott is by 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can't grow facial hair. That's the difference between Scotty and Eric.
Well, you guys must have been close growing up because you're in bands pretty much that whole time. It sounds like.
Yeah. Our first band was doing Metallica covers with a couple other friends, and I wasn't allowed to touch any instruments because no one ever thought that I'd learn how to play guitar. So,
And he's like the only one really still playing
out of all those guys, yeah, except for Dave.
Yeah.
Now, Fond du Lac, you guys aren't from Fond du Lac originally, but
We're not.
that's pretty much, Aaron is. But,
Aaron is,
But that's like the scene, you're pretty much the Fond du Lac scene.
I think that's probably the offshoot of IDFK there, too. We do practice at my house, so I think it's kind of the home base.
How's the scene in Fond du Lac? Is there a strong...
It's not the greatest. It was better like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Is
Not,
it-
not a whole lot.
Starting to make a turn. you know, hopefully.
Is it dominated by cover bands, by rock bands, punk bands, a mixture?
Everywhere is cover bands.
Are there a lot of places to play in Fond du Lac?
Nope.
Oh.
But there was one show at a bar recently that Rick Grin played that...
I mean, there's a few bars that have bands, but they're usually just like cover bands and stuff, and I won't even think about asking punk show going on over there.
Does the backstage bar in Girls
That closed.
Yeah, they closed.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I can't really think of anywhere else.
Where was that Rick just played with Beaker?
Somewhere.
Somewhere. It was called Somewhere.
Yeah, it's called Somewhere. It's a really dumb name.
I think.
So I want to play somewhere sometime.
Oh,
I think.
I mean, it's a great name.
I think.
Very clever.
And Mancino's has
Mancino played there recently.
Mancino's has been gracious enough to let us move some tables out of the way in the last couple of years when no other places were really letting us play. Mancino's a pizza place over on Main Street.
Yep.
Yeah.
They gracious enough to stay open late and let us hold some shows there, and it's been really nice.
It's a good time. It's fun there.
I mean, Encino's, you have to bring your own PA, right?
Yes, and I always brought that in.
That's a lot of work if hauling a PA. But yeah, as far as the other bands, are there a lot of bands that you're friends with in Fond du Lac that you're playing with often, or are they all from different areas?
A lot of the bands seem kind of like us, where they got members kind of spread out. I know there's Court Cost. They're a little bit more of the hardcore punk, but I know they got some guys, I think, towards Milwaukee more. I don't know if No Time's a Charm's still much of a band, but I know their guys are spreading out. Some guys live in Madison.
The Jurassics are still ruining things for Aaron. So.
Yeah, they ruined my birthday party, so I'm not invited this year.
Aaron, you have an event at your house every year called, it's a big long name. You want to?
I gotta take a deep breath here. East Central Wisconsin Punk Fest weekend for bands not from Madison enough to play the actual Wisconsin Punk Fest.
What made you decide to start this?
Just kind of a joke towards the Wisconsin Punk Fest they have in Madison every January.
When we got stopped being asked to play, he started this.
Well, I only played it that one time.
It's also like no bands outside of Madison playing the Wisconsin Punk Fest in Madison.
Yeah, the first one IDFK did, there were like, I think 8 bands total, and we were the only ones not from Madison. And then every other show, they get maybe 1 or 2 bands that are not from Madison, but I'm just kind of poking a little fun at that.
Has it been a success so far every year at the house?
It's fun.
Yeah, they're fun. Depends on how inebriated Eric gets.
Yeah, and I'd love to see the DUIs play it sometime.
Yeah,
That'd be a lot of fun.
This last year I thought went really, really well. Both nights had decent turnouts.
Shot roulette with Malort in the kitchen wasn't the best option.
But the timing of it was terrible.
6 o'clock was.
Yeah, wait till the show's done or something.
You did stop the toilet pipe from leaking.
Yeah, so we found out that the outlet pipe in the bathroom was leaking to the basement. So here's inebriated Eric. I've got this, and the Jurassics aren't playing, so I don't need to wear my Fuck the Jurassic shirt. So here I rip my shirt off and tie it around the pipe, and then I'm running around with no shirt on. And then Aaron and a whole bunch of other people decide, hey, let's start slapping his chest.
Ben Weasel tried selling my guitar. Based on a true story, which is funny because earlier this week was the anniversary of me getting that guitar. Ben
Weasel, of course, is the frontman and main guy behind Screeching Weasel, one of your, I'd say, favorite bands?
I'd say top 5 for sure. Their older stuff, I don't know how much I support the current incarnation of them. But.
To let our listeners know, you purchased a guitar that was pretty special to Ben Weasel, and then I'll let you tell the rest of the story.
Right now?
Yeah.
There's this line of guitars made by Giorgini Precision Craft, GPC. It's one of the guys who's in like Squirt Gun. He made this line of Mosrite clones and like named them for Ben Weasel. They call it the Weaselrites. And they made this first line. There's only 50 of them, and they come with a certificate of authenticity. They're numbered 1 through 50. I got production prototype number 1. And when I got it, I was trying to ask anyone who would know how many of these are there. I was curious. I didn't know. So when he started like a Kickstarter or something, a GoFundMe to help pay for the Baby Fat album they put out.
One thing before that, you asked him, you messaged him if he would sign it.
Oh, that's true. I did ask him once if he would sign it. And he said, probably not.
Yeah.
Was his reply to that.
And then where you left off.
So he put this thing up on for the GoFundMe or whatever, and $5,000 you can get the original GPC Weaselrite prototype. And I was like, no way, there's another one out there. So I straight up asked on the Facebook comment thing, how many of these are there? And he's like, just one. And I'm like, really? So I took a picture of the guitar with the certificate of authenticity, and I'm like, then what the hell do I have? I think his reply was just, oh, and then that listing was taken off.
Yes.
And
not revised.
Yeah, just taken off. I think he put up whatever Weaselrite he did have, because he did have a Weaselrite 1. So it's one of the 50 out there.
Just think, if you would have sold that as that, there'd be 2 people that claimed they had it, and you wouldn't really be able to prove that yours was the one.
Well, what I'm told is the only difference between the prototype and the regular 50 are the tuning pegs. I believe mine are a goldish tint, and the regular ones have the shiny silver type. So that's really the only way you can tell.
Do you play that one out, or
never?
That stays at home in the case?
It just stayed in the case in my bedroom.
You've never plugged it in.
Never. I don't even know if it works.
We wanted him to record the song with it, and then he's like, but then I would have played it.
I don't know if I ever want to play it. I'd sell it to Ben Weasel for $5,000 and five opening spots for the next in the area Screeching Weasel shows.
What was the hardest thing about recording this album?
The distance between us, because we're about an hour and a half drive or so away from each other, and then just we all have our lives away from the band. Eric did a lot of the mixing and stuff, and he did his bass and his vocals at his house. So a lot of that's just when he can get the time, because he's got a wife and 2 kids and all that fun stuff.
My house is never quiet. I think you can hear my kids in the background if you listen very carefully.
So when you recorded it, did you do the drums and the guitar at the same time, or did you do it in pieces, the drums, and then added?
It was, so we did the scratch track of guitar with the drums just for, keeping track of where things are. But yeah, we pretty much just captured the drums first, and then the guitar. But the drums actually were done in, was it 3 separate nights?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 3 separate nights, because Scott and I, we get out of work, around 5 and that, so we're not getting up until 7, and we can only make noise until 9 at Aaron's house. So, you want to get 16 drum tracks done all at once in one night, but it didn't really work out that way. And then Scott broke one of the mics on the snare drum, so 5 of the songs is done with a 57 on the snare drum, and then all the rest is my $20 Nady snare mic drum or snare drum mic. And I'm still waiting for the compensation on that one, Scott.
Did you master it as well, or did you send it off?
Yeah, it was. Well, no, I didn't master it, but it was sent off to our cousin actually out in Minneapolis.
He did the IDFK stuff, right?
Yeah, he did one of them. He did the mixing and mastering on Brett Habit EP.
He also did the split.
Oh yes, he did the 7-inch. I Want to Be Your Pope and Amy's a Hipster.
Yes,
that I'm not credited on.
Really?
I'm not You're credited as the guitar player on there.
Are you kidding me?
Because between that getting recorded and put out, I left the band.
I didn't even know I was on that.
My favorite work of yours.
I'm thanked in the liner notes, but that's it. I wrote one of the songs. I'm all the guitar on it. I didn't get credited. I was a little pissed, but I got over it. Whatever.
Yeah, well, you got back at him for on the first Scissor Kicks album when he wanted to be credited for Get Over It, and you credited him as Oscar Schweifel.
He did not like his real name being put on there. I don't know why. I mean, if it's ever a legal thing, then it's on there. That's kind of why I did it. I was looking out for the future.
So who did the bulk of the artwork? You said your sister helped with putting it. Wife, your wife.
Yeah.
Helped with putting it together, but who, as far as the logo and all that, who's behind that?
The logo was created by Opie.
Oh, okay, so
It's probably one of the last things, if not the last thing that he made.
Yeah, he got that for us, and we were going to use it for stickers and that, and then, we decided pretty much we're going to make that the album cover of all upcoming albums too, do a little color change here and there, but...
Well, let's rewind a little bit and talk a little bit about the last year, about a year ago. IDFK got together to play at Opie's Tribute, which we weren't referring to it as a benefit, but a tribute. And you guys had different singers come up and sing with you guys. All Opie's past bands got back together. Really awesome, fun event, and a lot of people hadn't seen each other, saw each other again, and then everything was looking up and up, and then all of a sudden everything looked down and down. As far as what the Malones were doing at that point, were you guys in a holding pattern at that point? Or were you guys, you must have been, if Opie's doing the logo for you guys, that the Malones must have been.
It was right about there we started getting together more often.
We were practiced about 3 good practices before that, and then all of a sudden, we were told, we're going to do that, and we're going to do, we did the 10-year.
Yeah, the anniversary show.
And for his birthday.
Yeah.
And, so we got 3 good practices in. We're like, this sounds really good. Then we're like, okay, let's pause. Let's do the IDFK stuff.
Yeah, then we got like 4 IDFK shows all of a sudden in the last, like a 2-3 month period there.
I mean, you guys did some shows without him, before he passed, where you guys did Mancino's once, and you guys just took over the vocal duties.
Yeah, I did a couple Milwaukee dates.
I did most of the singing because I wrote most of the songs. I think we tried to keep it the ones I wrote too. Towards the end, we just sprinkled a couple of Opie ones in there, but I think they felt, I don't know if they did or we did, we felt more comfortable with stuff that I wrote because I know it better, I guess.
Yeah, and a lot of Opie stuff was written for, a singer not having to do anything else. So it wasn't always the easiest to pick up the vocals. Like I tried with Runaway, and I just didn't grasp onto it. But yeah, Josh did some of the singing in his stuff, but by the last year, because we really only played about once a year, which was my birthday weekend when the Dutons would come in town, and it was just the band we had, so we'd get together, and there was always that hope that everything was gonna get better, and then he'd come back, but we kind of kept going on that hope.
So what's Josh up to nowadays?
He's married, has a kid, and
he's probably trenching around in 3 feet of snow right now.
Yeah, probably.
Playing hockey in his backyard.
Up in our Rhinelander, and I've been told he does own a chainsaw, because I told him anyone that lives up there has to own a chainsaw, and he's like, my brother gave me one.
Nice.
So do you guys ever see Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we go camping not too far away from where he lives, so him and his wife and their kids come and hang out with us for a day or so and try and see him as much as possible.
Aaron, you way back, IDFK started you and Brad Westover.
Yes.
Was that, looking at what the band turned into, did you kind of foresee that happening when you...
No, I just went into it, and that was only the second band I'd ever played in.
And you guys met each other on Craigslist, right?
Yeah, I was jamming with a guy up in Green Bay, and he found Brad and one of his friends, and we all just got together, started jamming. Brad's friend ditched on it pretty quickly, but me and Brad, we got another drummer, and me and Brad hit it off great. We had very similar punk taste, so anytime the other guys would be running late or something, we'd just be at our practice spot up in Oshkosh and just jamming together. He left that one band shortly after I did, and it was just kind of, hey, if either of us hear of anyone looking to do something, let's get it going. And then, a few months later, we got IDFK rolling.
That's great.
And then, a few months after that, Opie jumped on as drums. We had a fill-in guy for our first couple shows. And then Opie was on board, and he switched between a lot of instruments early on.
And then you guys got Mike left, you got Scott.
Yep.
And then
our original bass player left, and Josh came in for that. And for a while there, we were a 4-piece with Opie playing rhythm guitar too. But then he started having some nerve issues in his arm, and he couldn't do that anymore. Then we were just a 1-guitar band for a while, which is always kind of weird for me. I get used to it in this band, but it's always kind of weird. I think 2 guitars help sound fuller.
Have you guys thought about picking up another person on guitar?
No.
Just want to keep it a 3-piece?
Yes.
There's enough bad schedules to work around here.
How did you learn how to play?
I took guitar lessons for 4 years and didn't learn anything.
Eric, what about you?
I started playing guitar when I was in that metal cover band because I wanted to be like all my other friends. And I had an excellent guitar teacher, Craig, who still plays out to this day in a cover band down towards Milwaukee and that. And I got...
Stuff's just falling up there.
The kid's up. I got as far as, I did the thing that most kids do, I got as far as I thought I needed to do for what I wanted to do. and I just kind of got better by my friend making fun of me about how bad I was. So it made me want to learn things better. So Scotty and I and our friend Will, when we started Burnout, was we were in a 5-piece metal band at the time, and then we went to a punk show, and I'm like, this seems like a lot of fun. We should do something like this. So then that night I went home, wrote my first song, and I'm like, hey, that wasn't as hard as everyone always told me it was going to be.
Was it a national punk band you saw, or was it a local punk show?
It was local. It was Subdue, which
later became ADD.
Yeah, and a couple other spin-offs of that. And that drummer still, he's actually went on to do the cover scene now in Milwaukee. Pretty big cover band, but yeah, it's just weird. And all of this exists, and Scott mentioned this when he was on Joel's show. All of this started just because Scott and I were at an exclusive company one time, and there was a random CD, little burnt CD of 2 tracks on the counter, and said "Take Me." Scott took it, and we discovered that band, and because of that, we are here today.
Have you guys thought about, you did this, you recorded it yourself, have you thought about going into a studio and just taking that burden off as far as doing the recording and the engineering and all?
I have, but then I remember how much I don't like eating ramen for every meal. And it's the convenience thing of not having to pay someone, and I feel I'm okay at it. I feel it doesn't make anyone's ears bleed to listen to it, and enough people aren't enjoying it, so we'll probably stick with this method. Might still be sending out for mastering, and
if somebody wants to give us free studio time, we won't say no.
Oh yeah. So if anyone wants to come forward with that,
maybe you're new and you need some practice, and it's like, hey, get a hold of us. We'll record 2 songs with you.
I've heard a lot of talk about the pseudo feds. You guys friends with those guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad they're back.
Any other bands that you want to recommend people go check out?
We're just going to list off. I got
every band we've ever played with, so we don't make anyone feel left out.
But I just go down the line.
I've got really good friends out in Detroit. They're actually coming next month. For the Dutons are coming out and playing 2 shows with us for our CD release weekend, and they have a whole string of bands that they're connected with. Their drummer's also in the Putts, the Devious Ones, Haley and the Crushers. And the cool thing that Dougie does is he's most of his bands are all different styles of subgenres of punk, so you get a whole lot of coverage there. Howie, the bass player, him and Jeff are both in Smash the Jukebox, and Howie's just got a brand new, they got an album coming out, but Howie just put out a new album, Exiles by Suburban Delinquents. That band's been around for 20 years now.
They're really good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite releases I've been listening to on Spotify. Speaking of Spotify, we should be up soon enough.
That's when everyone looks at me.
You did it.
I did. I don't know how long it takes. I did it like a week and a half ago.
What's your take on Spotify? Good or bad?
I think it depends on what you're after. As a listener, I love it. Being in a band, I don't. This isn't my job, so I'm not out to make money on this. If we get 6/100ths of a cent per listen, I don't care. I'd rather just my music get out there and get heard. Yeah,
that's it.
That's how I feel about Spotify. I listen to it all the time.
Do you feel that Bandcamp is a good alternative to Spotify?
I think so, but there's a little bit more work involved if you want to find bands.
Yeah.
I've had nights where I just scope out punk bands on there, and I found some really cool ones.
I love Bandcamp. I'm a big fan of that platform. I found a lot of cool bands that I enjoy because of Bandcamp.
What's the best concert you've ever seen?
Flag.
That was good.
Body Count with Ice-T. There's a lot. But those are probably the 2 most surprising I could think of.
Aaron's thinking, I can tell from his pupils.
I really enjoyed seeing Coxbar a few years ago in Chicago. I've seen the Queers numerous times, and they're always a good show.
Is that a Reggie's? The Coxbar show?
No, that was it was the Double Door, I think it was called. They closed like a month later after that show happened, just out of nowhere. That one with like Joel and a few other people.
Anthrax.
Yeah, every time I see Face to Face, I have an absolute blast. Same as Less Than Jake. I've never had a bad time at their shows. There are so many bands that I was so excited to see, and then they just play a really crappy set list. Like there's bands that just don't play any of their good music, and I don't even know if it's it's a subjective thing, but they have to know what sucks and doesn't. They just choose not to play it, and but yeah, those bands always put on great shows. Huge Iron Maiden fan. I've saw 2 shows. One, they played a lot of in-tracks. I knew probably 6 songs they played, but I still had a blast, even though I was up in the lawn at the Tweeter Center.
Was it Tweeter?
Yeah.
Motorhead.
Oh,
gotta say both times.
That's pretty cool. You got to see Motorhead.
Yeah, saw him twice. Met Lemmy both times.
It was funny.
Yeah, I was young and wanted him to sign everything I owned, and I walked up to him with an ace of spade, and I'm like, "Can you sign this?" He's like, "How f***ing original." Signs it, and then I asked him to sign a couple other things, and finally I'm like, "Can you sign my shoe?" Because I had everyone signing my Converse at the time, and he's like, "I'm not signing those f***ing pumps. Look, you've signed 6 things already." And then I'm like, "Can I get a picture with you?" He's like, "Well, I'm standing in front of you." And then he got on his bus.
And I'm a big Stray Cats fan. That's probably one of my earliest influences. And I had this Motorhead best of CD, and I didn't have, this is like middle of high school. We had the internet at high school. Did not have the internet in the house. So I know kids today don't understand that, but it was different then. So I'm looking at my CD case, and I'm reading the inliner notes because I do that, and it says on the inside, Lemmy is putting out a album with Slim Jim Phantom, and they don't know when it's going to come out or whatever. So that's the last thing I asked him. I said, "Hey, Lemmy," and he's like, turns to me. He's got a cigarette in his mouth, and I said, "When's that album with Slim Jim Phantom coming out?" And he goes, "October 17th.
6 years ago.
3 years ago. Thanks for buying it."
That was the Malones off their new self-titled album that was called The Fallen. Eric, do you want to tell us a little bit about the story behind that song?
Yeah, so I started writing that, going back several years, probably 7 almost. I started writing it, and when a friend of mine took his own life, and I got through the first verse and the chorus, and that's all I got. And then I was going to finish it, and I pitched it to Opie once, right when I first joined IDFK in about 2015 or so. And he told me, in true Opie form, "That doesn't really fit us." I'm like, "You sure?" Because I think people would really enjoy it. He's like, "Oh, I don't care about impressing them." I'm like, "Okay." So then it got buried. And then when Jabberjaw had a small reunion, I was going to pitch it that way. And then that flailed out again because Brett lived in Madison, and our schedules are just too different. And then when we were talking about getting this band going, I told Scott, I'm like, "Well, I think I'm going to take The Fallen and finally finish it. Change it up a little bit. This isn't the original rendition of the song, but
House is coming down."
So I was able to, I kept my original first verse I had, and then the second verse I was able to incorporate in with Opie's passing and our guitar player from Jabberjaw, and all within like the same month when Opie passed. Brett passed away very suddenly, and then actually when leaving that funeral, I just found out about Phil. Mm-hmm. So it was just like a kick to the gut over and over in that month. But yeah, so I was able to incorporate Brett and Opie into the inside jokes part, the line in that, and I'm just very happy with how the outcome of that song came. We were a little nervous to pitch it to Aaron because just never know with him, and he's very against the chord progression in that song of using it in our music, and I snuck it in there because I inverted and started on the low note instead of the higher note.
Smart.
So is that songs like that, are those hard to play in concert?
No, actually, the first time, because we changed that first verse where it's just the vocals and guitar. It wasn't originally that. That was, I was working on mixing it, and I muted all of the music at one point, and it was just the vocals. I'm like, oh, that would sound really good. So then I put up a rough scratch of it and sent it to them. They're like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's try that. And then we did it at the show where I was a little past sober. in Aaron's basement. And I think at first, when everyone stopped and it was just me and guitar singing, everyone thought we just, screwed it up because I heard a few people yell. But I think we came back in right when we were supposed to, which really surprised the shit out of me. So that part's probably one of my favorite, accidental parts of the album is just how that, came all to be orchestrated.
I think he meant, do you find it emotionally hard?
Oh, emotionally hard? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
No, it is. And what was it? We went on Facebook Live. It was we practiced the week that Opie passed away, and we went on Facebook Live.
It was the night after.
It was the night after.
Yeah, I watched that.
Did you? Yeah. And we played this song, and I still find myself, right about the bridge of the song into the end, I still choke up and even tear up while singing it on stage. And that's why I'm really happy it's the last song.
What are your passions outside of music? Aaron, we'll start with you and work down.
Sleeping? Which is if you're gonna play that song, is a good lead-in. Should have came to me last. I have a nice video game collection. That's fun.
I was gonna say you not only do you have a nice collection, you buy and sell.
I do a lot of reselling too to help pay for the collection. So I try to, even GameStop, you can find good deals on stuff and resell it for like $10 more than you pay for it.
How long have you been into video games? Has it been pretty much your whole life?
I mean, I remember having like a Nintendo as a kid. It was something to do when I was bored.
Like you've got your collection is seriously massive. I know Scotty went over and helped you build we'll call them containment shelves.
Yeah.
And I think you still had like an overflow.
Oh God, yeah, they're just sitting on the floor. We want to do more shelves.
I gotta come back and build more shelves.
But yeah, I think I'm up to about 1,300 or so total across about 15, 16 consoles.
Well, what's your favorite console?
Probably Super Nintendo. Which is weird because like growing up, we were a Sega Genesis house. And I didn't get a Super Nintendo till later on in life, so I didn't get to play a lot of the really cool games. Like I played a lot of Mario World, and that was about it. Like I still never beat Zelda all the way through, which I'm really embarrassed to say, because like Zelda's my favorite game franchise.
What's your opinion on 007 for N64?
It's fun with multiplayer. The single player campaign, not fun.
Scotty?
My son Dylan collecting records, bowling, golf. When I have time to do that, antiquing, selling antiques.
You were into salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah.
I think I know each of your hobbies.
What are my desires?
I'm somewhat open
Pinball.
about. I'm pretty open about them. I mean,
we do a lot with your son. Your son's like around 3 years old, right?
He'll be 3 next month. Yeah.
Did he change your outlook on life, I know obviously that's a huge life change to.
I've always had pretty much the same outlook on life. He definitely enhanced it and made it even more real. And I don't know. I've learned a lot from him and with having him. And I've always taken family and love like that really, really seriously. And he just really completes it.
Eric?
My passions? I enjoying long walks on the beach.
I'm going to start a live journal about you.
Right. I collect, I collect pinball machines. I like restoring them, rebuilding them. Pretty much any other coin-operated things. My kids enjoy them with me as well.
Do you have a bunch of these in your house set up, or you fix them up and sell them?
Well, for risk of people breaking in and stealing my shit. Yes, I have, what do I have now? 3 pinball machines. One is not at my house because there's no room. And I never really meant to get into buying and selling, but if I find them for a good deal and have the money, I try and buy them. If I know that, eventually I can sell it for the same or more. But I'm not really into, flipping stuff. I just enjoy having them.
Do pinball machines break down often? They're pretty sturdy.
It depends, and I have all electromechanicals, which are the old-fashioned score reels. They are very touchy. It's all based on environment. Once you get them tuned in and everything cleaned up, they'll play for a really long time. but they still are just leaf switches, and they're basically arcing every time they make an action. So
Where can people go find out more about the Malones? Is Facebook probably the best?
Probably.
ask us,
Come to a show and talk to us.
Yeah, that. Facebook.
message Scott on his DMs, and
Find Scott on Tinder.
Chatterbait.
All right.
Bandcamp. We're on
And
Bandcamp.
I'm just going to touch here before we end the show. You guys said you have more material you're working on. Same direction as the self-titled, or are you guys going off into some different...
well, what happened with the self-titled is it's a lot of, and we try not to be a leftover band, but there's so many projects that either we got to the end of it and then stuff never got recorded, or we had short-lived projects that we love the music, but then just for whatever reason it died out and never got to release it. So like our old band Jabberjaw, anything that was pretty much mine I considered fair game. We never got the album out, so I took a lot of that music, stuff that I felt would fit this band. Aaron had leftovers from Scissor Kicks.
Scissor Kicks, yeah.
There's also some songs on it, though, that were written pretty much, if not originally written now, they were finished now, and they reflect where we were when we put them out.
Yeah, Alone was an original that we wrote together.
Anymore. Fallen.
And that was finished as a band, yeah.
And the one that I wrote, I mean, it really has
head.
to do with where we were at that time, which was very recently. So it feels good to get it out.
And I'm happy to get these songs out of the way so Aaron can finally write some new music.
So to answer your question, coming from the guy who doesn't really write the songs, I think it. We really are just focusing on writing what we write and being ourselves. And
it might change a little bit because, like I said, I was getting a lot of stuff out of the way that I had from a couple years ago. So, it might change a little bit, but no matter what, it's going to be us.
How long is the perfect punk song?
210.
210.
I was always a 3:30 type of person.
No.
But I was told I'm not allowed to write songs that long, but then Aaron has more long songs on this album than I do. But he also has the shortest, so I think that
It
balances
evens
each
out.
other out.
19 seconds.
19 seconds is a perfect punk song?
No, that's the shortest one.
What is that, lottery or muffler?
Muffler.
I appreciate you guys coming on Core, and I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and it's an honor to have you guys down here. And I hope you guys come back.
Thanks for having us, buddy.
Thank you for having